Hello there. They call me Mr. E. Now, if you're at least semi-conscious, you've probably heard the term inequality before. Like it's this magical force that hangs over society, judging us all on fairness, based on the divide between rich and poor. But is it even real? Or just part of some egalitarian fairy tale told to kids to make them believe in hope and change? The fact of the matter is, inequality does exist. It is the reason that societies are structured the way that they are since the dawn of civilization. Some people just have more than others and are able to leverage that more to their advantage. Now, whether this is acquired on one's own merits, or it's inherited, or maybe even gained by sinister means, is not relevant. More importantly, inequality has been part of human culture for thousands of years. And the age-old question is whether or not it's acceptable. So let's look at some interesting facts, shall we?
My name is Mystery. For reasons unknown, I have been thrown back into the past almost 100 years, and this is my story.
Now, inequality is no negligible matter. It is the reason that helped spur on two of the most important revolutionary events of the modern age, the American and the French Revolution. Now, in both cases, a greedy king and an aristocratic class exerted themselves on the population. Now, I'm not talking by force here, though that was a factor. I'm talking through the unequal distribution of wealth and the power that provides. In the French case, the top 10% of French society owned 90% of the country's wealth. Of a population of 25 million people at the time, this is a significant concentration of wealth in just a few hands. Now, if you thought that was bad, from that 10%, the top 1% owned half of all wealth. An incredible amount for so few people. So how did things look for the poor? Well, 50% of the population, half of the people of France, owned 5% of the entire country's wealth. Now, these are just facts and figures, though. Boring. But what does it all mean in reality? Why should I care about inequality anyway? Well, if you are sitting at the top of society today, I have one word for you. It's a favourite of mine. Revolution. Now, people historically will not put up with such blatant levels of inequality and inegalitarian distribution of wealth for long before they demand change, either through reform or terror, i.e. chopping heads off. Remember this iconic bad boy? Now, people say, oh yes, that's lovely, but that was 200 years ago. Things have changed. Well, have I got a story to tell you? The world may have disposed of the inequalities of kings and old-school industrial capitalists of 100 years ago, but it's back, baby, evolved and rising to levels that would make the French nobility proud. Now, inequality exists in different forms, but I'm talking economics here. Inequality from wealth and inequality from income. Either you get money from your existing wealth, investments, finance, stocks, property, savings, etc. Or you earn money from your labour. These things are not mutually exclusive though, and combine to give us total wealth in society. As today, inequality can be gauged from a combination of these two factors. Now, up until World War I, a majority of inequality was wealth inequality, i.e. you were a capitalist or an aristocrat with a substantial amount of wealth invested in stocks and property and bonds, and you lived off the money your wealth made for you. People like this were known as rentiers. Now today, this cliched capitalist style of wealth is less common for the top 10% or 1%. These groups are more characteristically high earners, executives and directors on the boards of large firms, and they rake in exuberant incomes, inclusive of both salary and bonuses, with the types of pay packets that would just make you question reality. Now, don't get me wrong though, wealth from capital is still important, hugely important, like shares, investments, and finance. But this only becomes the main source of riches for the top 0.1% or the 0.1%. They are the real capitalists these days and the ones that really control the world economically. So to put it into context for you, if we look at income from work, in more unequal developed countries, the top 10% make 7 times the income of the bottom half of the population. Just remember we're talking averages here. So for an example, if the average wage was something like $2,000 a month, $24,000 a year, then the top 10% make $14,000 a month or $186,000 a year. Now we're just talking the top 10% here. The top 1% make 24 times the average wage. You can only imagine what the top 0.1% or the top 0.01% rake in. Now, apart from these daunting numbers, why is this important? Well, one, because a few generations of this income disparity can help bring us back to the most extreme wealth inequality the world has ever seen, where almost all of national wealth is held by the richest people. And two, higher inequality erodes democracy. The top 10% of society are the class of people that either are in politics or influencing it significantly. Basically, they are calling the shots in your community, country, and globally. The more the richest people in society get, the less they are in touch with those who are not well off. So, the less society works for the entirety of the population and the more it works in the interests of those who can afford the influence. It is not uncommon in the democracies of the world for you to find government policy not aligning with public opinion at all. It's well known actually. People joke about it. Now this increases with higher inequality. In the US in 2010, the top 10% owned 70% of the nation's wealth and the lower half of the population owned 5%. Sound familiar? Now we are no way France on the eve of the revolution here, with people being enraged enough in the system to wanting to overthrow it, but by the numbers, we are easily on the way. We need to stop being absorbed by consumerism and distracted by identity politics to open our eyes and change this disparity in our societies. Contrary to what some economists will tell you, inequality doesn't just have some magical threshold and balance out. It is a social construct, meaning it is man-made. It's not hardwired into human evolution. Basically, there is no natural process that prevents inequality from prevailing over humanity forever. We must look to ourselves to change it. It is not some myth created by commies and hippies to take your house off you and steal your hard-earned money. It's real, and this is what stops us all from having more access to the wonders of the modern world. Now, if that doesn't make you angry and wanting more of the share of society's wealth, then I don't know what will. Have you not looked at the ultra-rich and thought, wouldn't it be nice if I just had a fraction of that? Now, don't forget that feeling. It can be changed, but it will not be given up easily. Now, if you thought this was interesting, share this with someone who should hear this. And please, subscribe for more. There is much to learn before we can unlock the revolution. Remember, I am, you are, we are a mystery.